Good times,
Hello.
Stephen. It's been a pretty quiet day. Just so you know, folks, we put a lot of prep into this show.
Yeah. We've been preparing for 14 hours this show.
I don't know what we're going to talk about today. There's just no tech news around.
Yeah, it's a pretty quiet day today.
It's been a really quiet day. I went for a walk. I smelled the roses. Called my family. Just, chatted generally.
Yeah.
And it's good for that screen to turn off in the middle of the start of the show.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Yeah, I was wondering that. But it's all good now?
It's just, we've got here's what we need, okay? We need a pre-flight checklist.
Yeah.
Are
we recording, mate?
Yeah, 100%.
Are those levels moving up and down?
That's one of the things that's on the pre-flight checklist.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, are we recording?
Yes.
Second thing is, are the
Are we
cameras
rolling?
recording?
Yes. Yeah.
Third thing is the video reset to the start because it goes an hour and a half?
Oh, that's an hour and a half loop, is it?
Yeah.
That one there.
So that would have been avoided.
I was taking my glass off, nearly
Mate,
pulled my
this is
earphones
the most.
out.
It's like we've been busy all day talking about just one thing.
What could that could be?
Anyway, I'm excited about the next couple of weeks of movie podcasts. We got some crackers coming.
Crackers.
And look,
and we haven't done them ahead of time. We do them every week.
Every week.
We do.
Community service announcement. We see the numbers. We see you. We know that you're not all listening to the movie podcast. Yeah. And we're okay with that.
What is wrong with you?
But is it time to dive back in? Is it time to sample again what we're doing on the movie podcast? Because we have an announcement to make. We're not going to go into detail right now, but the feed is filling up. We're going to add a show.
Okay.
That's official, right?
Yeah.
I haven't signed any paperwork, though.
We are going to add a show. I understand. Are we going to announce that right now?
Why not?
Okay.
I mean, I'm encouraging people to sample the channel. We're calling the Two Blokes Talking Tech feed a channel.
Best songs you've never heard. Is that right?
The best almonds you've never eaten. The best nuts. Two Nuts Talking Nuts. That was the name we agreed on
a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
So I'm quite proud of what we've done to create the content we're creating.
A channel.
And the channel is good because it's like-minded content for like-minded people.
Yes.
Now, that's the thing. I get that not everyone needs to listen to the EFTM podcast. Some of you are listening to it elsewhere. Same with Tech Guide.
Yeah.
But I think
but
now and
you
then...
do have to listen to the Tech Guide podcast, though. Come on. I've got a competition this week. Get into it.
All right. Sell me and the audience on the Tech Guide podcast in
the
30
place
seconds.
to stay updated and educated about everything in consumer technology.
Isn't that Two Blokes Talking Tech?
Told by, in very, in easy to understand language.
You just keep describing this show.
Yeah, no, but this show is different because
it's
two of us.
Sell it to this list.
Okay,
to the long-term listener of Two Blokes Talking Tech.
It's mostly stuff you don't hear on this podcast.
Because Stephen makes me skip it because he's done it already.
Other stuff. So it's my perspective. Because Trevor doesn't let me talk much on this show, so I like to have my own show so you can actually listen to me, what my voice sounds like. So, no, it's generally stuff that I try not to double up. There is the occasional double up. If there is a double up, it's told from a different angle and there's something
and
new.
we've talked about that. You often say, I've done that on Tech, and I go, but I think we can have a good chat about this.
Smart ass. You say, but no one listens to that. Okay, so... Yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Here I am, literally trying to get people to listen, and you're bagging me. Come on.
No, of course not. So, yes, listen to the best. And the beauty of the best movies you've never seen is that they're timeless. If you listen to an episode of Two Blokes from a year ago, you're going to think, that's old news, mate.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the evergreen catalogue of the movie podcast is that you can go back to episode 1 or episode 116 and pick a movie you want to hear about and hear the insights of the movie. And Trevor's seen it for the first time. I'm seeing it for the 100th time. And Trevor often offers you got a good and a different perspective. You come up with some insights that I've never thought of because you're fresh eyes on it. And it's a real good way of enjoying a movie and the best movies you've never seen. Not just because Trevor, a lot of people might not have seen it themselves.
We've talked about that. Like if you're a younger generation that missed these movies when they were out because you weren't born or you're too young, you could understand them and maybe get a sense of whether or not they're worth watching. You would be spoiled by it, but it might give you a catalogue to start watching. So, best movies you've never seen comes in this feed on a Saturday.
Okay, and so you're about to make an announcement now.
We've got to run through it. I haven't promoted to EFTM yet. Are you kidding?
Oh, okay, sorry. Get to FTM. Sorry, mate. I didn't want to skip
Best movies you've never seen comes out on Saturday.
Private feed on Fridays.
Sunday, Monday is days off. Tuesday is Tech Guide podcast.
Tech Guide, yeah.
Wednesday is the EFTM podcast, which quite simply is just a talkback technology podcast.
Yep.
If you've got a question about technology, I will call you and we will talk about it literally on the phone. And my favourite thing that I never record but I really should is when I ring people and they go, "Oh my God, really? Trevor Long, you're calling me?" Like as if to say, "I just sent you an email."
Fanboys and girls.
No, it's more. I just sent you an email. Aren't you going to reply? Like it's more.
Okay.
They're shocked that I'm going to the trouble of calling.
Right.
But the fact is, and I'll be very clear, I don't reply to emails.
Yeah.
If you've got a tech question, I'm not going to reply on email.
Send that to me. I reply to tech emails.
What's the benefit in that for me? Sorry.
Yeah, I've got an Ask Stephen icon on Tech Guide that every time I'm on the radio or even during the week, I get a lot of emails and I answer all of them. 95% of them. Okay. Some are I can't understand, but others that I can help with, I answer.
So that's Wednesday night.
Yep.
Thursday night is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
This show, yeah.
Although this week we're really screwing with you because I'm going to put the Two Blokes out just as soon as it comes out. So this is going to come out on is it Thursday morning now? Tomorrow? We're about to hit Thursday.
It's almost Thursday morning.
So it's going to come out fairly early.
Yep.
I forgot to stop EFTM going out. So remember we talked about that earlier?
No, but it's out. Isn't it out already?
No, but I was going to put this out and put EFTM out tomorrow. Anyway, I'm confusing the dear listener.
Wow.
And then the private feed, and there was some confusion in the EFTM Man Cave on Facebook.
Oh.
People, there was someone commented about something, the almonds. They were like, "I never want to listen to that again. The chewing was disgusting, and
really
it was horrendous, right?"
We'll give you your money back.
And then someone else goes, "Well, this is just a big in joke, the private feed," and I'm like. And everyone's like, it's public. It's a public private feed. So anyone can listen to that on. There's no password. Yeah. You can just listen to it. And finally, the announcement is in December, Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars.
Boom.
We're not going to announce its backer or supporter until
I
have a signed contract.
Until we may have until we get also another backer and supporter. So, hey, feel free to hit us up if you're interested in someone sponsoring. We've got one solid name. To begin with, big name,
a household name.
Yep. So that's one down, one to go. But we're Two Blokes Talking electric vehicles or electric cars, and we're going to start in early.
We're going to start in December. We'll start releasing them in December.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be a Monday night show.
That's never a busy period for us. December, is it? A month ahead of Consumer Electronics Show.
I think it's pretty cool.
Okay.
You won't?
Yeah. No, well,
I don't know what we're going to talk about, to be honest.
Can I be honest? Can I just mention what my wife said? Can I tell you this?
What?
No. She said, I said, "Oh, good news. Trevor and I are doing another podcast." She went, "When are you going to fit that in?" Her first, not congratulations, well done. She said, "When are you going to fit that in?" I said, "Well, when we do all our podcasts. I'm just going to basically live at Trevor's office for a day.
We'll get you an apartment around the corner."
Yeah, I think I'm just a little pull-out couch over here.
It's a good idea. I saw a good one the other day.
Yeah, haven't you got? Is that a pull-out sofa over there?
No.
What
you can easily sleep on. I've slept on it.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's big enough even for me.
Koala.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think Monday night for the EV podcast.
Releasing Monday night.
What do you think? Okay. Monday nights.
Because
then we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Monday
Saturday.
night is EVs, electric cars. Tuesday night's Tech Guide. Wednesday night EFTM. Thursday night Two Blokes. Friday is private. Saturday. Jeez,
we could do another show for Sundays.
and Saturday is the movie podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, Saturday.
So there's only one day we're missing out.
Sunday. Wow. We should do a sport podcast. Releases on a Sunday.
Yeah. I'll just change my address to EFTM. Is that right? Or
what's wrong with that? Anyway, that's our announcement.
If they're willing to pay us, we'll do it. If we get a sponsor.
Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, comment below. Let us know what you think.
Big news. That's got to be the social clip, surely. The announcement. Is that did we get that right? The little clip. Okay, we'll discover. We'll soon find out whether we got it right. We're big news
after we do this.
Welcome to Two Blokes Talking Tech.
Not a bad price.
With Trevor Long from EFTM.com.
Really handy device.
And Stephen Fennick from techguide.com.au.
What? Really? You had to look at the rundown to know what we're talking about today? Really?
I had to work out who this week's sponsors were.
You looked at that as if that what we're about to talk about you've only just found out about 2 minutes ago. But in reality, can I just sort of break the fourth wall here or the inside baseball? We're recording this late at night after we've been talking about this topic for what now? 15 hours? Easily. 16 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anyway, episode
surprise.
608 is what I was glancing at the paper for. I wanted to see what number it was.
Okay.
Episode 608, thanks to the great people at Netgear and Arlo and Netgear. We'll talk about them shortly. We'll tell you about your home security needs and your Wi-Fi at home very, very shortly, thanks to the great people at Arlo and Netgear. Now, what Stephen's alluding to is that at 4:30 this morning, I got a text message from a producer at the Today Show saying, how big's this OPTUS drama? My immediate reaction in my head was, I don't know. And then I launched onto the internet and found a large number of people complaining about OPTUS being down.
Yep.
And I started asking people who I thought might be awake at that time, who I know, and it became very clear that it actually wasn't just the mobile network that was down. It was their home broadband as well.
So the whole kit and caboodle, which is rare, isn't it? Normally, let's talk about Telstra have had 4G, 3G outage, mobile outage. Their internet's still okay, but this was all the marbles, everything.
So my response was, this is massive.
Yeah.
This is the biggest thing I've ever seen. And so you've heard me saying that a few times because you've been sitting here while I've done radio. I'm right, aren't I? This is the biggest telco outage in Australian history.
I can't think of a bigger one. Yeah, that is everything. That is mobile and broadband.
You could argue maybe one of the Telstra ones was bigger in terms of number of people affected, maybe because they have more customers. But I say it's the biggest because Optus's mobile and broadband networks were down at the same time. Every product they sell was unavailable.
And we're talking like more than 10 million customers affected.
I
remember my brother, I remember talking to Michael saying, our internet wouldn't work. The girls couldn't get on the internet. Their phone plans were all through an Optus prepaid carrier. Yeah. So they're thinking, well, we're totally cut off here.
We learnt very quickly how much people, businesses rely on Optus. Now,
the first one was the Victorian Railway, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was what got the Today Show most fascinated by it because they felt massive because the trains were out. So the train network was out from about 5 till 6.
Yep.
And, luckily I know a train driver in Sydney, so I could understand why.
Yeah, so it's like the control centre couldn't communicate with trains on the network.
The signal boxes and things like that. Think about now.
That's important, isn't it?
You can look on an app and see, in New South Wales anyway, how heavy a train is, how many people are on it, where it is, right? That's because there's a GPS tracker on the train and probably a SIM card. And obviously that went down. Now, it came back up very quickly, so an hour later. And my initial thought, and I haven't had this clarified, is essentially they had a redundant system. So they had another network or another way of validating their safety protocols. They brought it down to check safety and they put it back up when they were confident about safety. But that had day-long knock-on effects, right? Yep. So I started talking about the fact that obviously people don't have mobile coverage. They don't have internet at home. Their landlines aren't working at home. And then I started realising this was going to be way bigger, and it took me back to the Telstra 3G outage that affected FPOS terminals and things like that. So I started speculating, and this is 5 o'clock in the morning, right? 5:50 was my first cross. And our job behind Inside Baseball is you've got to speculate until you know, so because you've got to say something.
If they don't tell you got to speculate,
and we'll get to that. Don't you worry. I'm saying, well, I think actually one of the biggest issues is going to be how businesses are impacted as they wake up and go to work. Because if you've got a payment terminal that a bank issued or Square or Zella and it's got a SIM card in it and you don't know what network it's on, you're quickly going to find out if it's on Optus.
Absolutely.
That's going to be how you'll know what's going on.
It was, people woke up to this and there were people, obviously the main impact was couldn't make or receive Optus calls, messages on your mobile. You couldn't connect if you're on Optus NBN or for 5G, couldn't connect. So it was immediately people thinking, I can't do this, I can't stream that, I can't call them, can't do that. And my immediate thought was there are a lot of people who are relying on the internet not just to stream and watch YouTube, but to do their jobs. A lot of people work from home. So there are a lot of people who couldn't connect to their offices and get their work done. Now, it hit me this morning as well. I think I texted you, I sent you this message about CommBank. I had to send a payment, and you know how when it's a first time payment you get a net code and you get an SMS on your phone, and I'm waiting and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, they must use the Optus network to send the net code, and it never came. So I'm not going to send a payment. I can't or couldn't send that payment because of that.
So right now we're still in the very early stages of the morning. I sent a text message. We're going to dig into the Optus handling of this because it's relevant to our listeners because our listeners were with us on the journey 12, 18 months ago of the Optus cyber attack, in which we have been very critical of their handling of it from a communications and public relations point of view. And I think that's very relevant to this issue today because I think it goes to people's decisions to love or hate Optus right now. And we've spoken about how I caught up with someone at Optus and we tried to kind of amend the bridges, and I thought that's the person I'm going to reach out to first. Call failed. I went, obviously, he's on Optus, right?
Yeah. Well, similar story. A good friend of mine I work with at News Limited now works at Optus, sent her a message. It was green. She's normally blue for an iPhone. Green. I'm thinking, oh, hang on, this isn't going to get to her.
Yes.
And I sent her an email as well.
So this is, I'm talking 5 o'clock in the morning here. I'm trying to ring this guy thinking, bugger it, I'm going to ring. And then I go, okay, so the way Optus works is they have a general address, email address for media, and they have a phone number for media. And I thought, well, I'll ring the phone number. You got to press 2 for this and whatever. Anyway, so I ring the phone number and I get someone to answer the phone. And I say, g'day, it's Trevor Long here from EFTM and the Today Show. Let's talk about the outage. And he goes, if you could just send us an email, we'll keep you in the loop. And I went, sorry, I'm like literally about to go on television and talk about this. What can you tell me? He goes, I don't have any information to share. We'll share it with you as we can. So I sent an email. And I think it was super polite. It was just, hi, I'm already getting lots of calls. By 6 a.m., I'm getting like 5 to 6 phone calls from radio stations. By 5:30 a.m., already done 2 radio crosses. So this is escalating super fast. We can detect these things by simply the interest we have, right?
I had a couple of calls in the morning, early radio as well, like 7 to 7:30.
So I've said this in an email. I've said, I really just need you to keep me in the loop. I want you to text me or call me so that I see these messages as I'm reporting throughout the morning.
Fair enough.
I don't see anything. I don't get a reply. At about 6:15, 6:30, I get a message from Optus which says, we apologise to our customers. We're aware of an outage. We're working on it. Please, emergency services will still work on your mobile phone. Because that's a really important message to get out, that even when it's no mobile network, you can still get a message out via 000. So I still have nothing to go by, and we're in intense speculation mode. We don't know how big it is, how bad it is, and where it's going to go.
After the initial shock and the people can't connect, then all these things start trickling in about what's not working. There was like people trying to check in online, Qantas not working. The people, I think it was the EV charges, the EV brand, and
Commonwealth Bank confirmed to me your concerns that they were using the Optus network, and they confirmed to me, and it was on their website, that they were unable to send codes.
But their ATMs were working, everything else was working.
Small businesses started reporting that
the
they
EV
were
charge,
having
you
issues.
couldn't use they couldn't communicate back to their platform because it uses Optus.
That's right.
Right. So you couldn't even charge your car if you were desperate. You couldn't charge your car.
We had. You could if you had an RFID tag. So it
so
would
if you had
work
a prepaid, like a already recognised.
If you had a tap and go tag,
right.
There was business. Well, this is when I started to hear on the radio on 2GB primarily about businesses that were having to accept cash only because their payment terminals are down. This is starting to escalate now, and literally,
boom,
big
time.
Again, I did 5 Today Show crosses in 2.5, 3 hours, right? Okay. So you know the
massive,
scale of things when,
and it was across all networks too. It was Sunrise were doing it. It was the story of the day. Radio was. Like I think every show on 2GB was all Optus all the time, or most of the time. And so we're starting to hear then from listeners were leaning in, their customers saying, look, I can't do this, I can't do that, can't pay this, I can't go here to do this, and the whole thing was adding up and mounting, and we're still waiting though for Optus to come out and say, well, okay, it's on. We're working on the problem. Here's what it might be. And that was how long were we waiting then? Kelly Bay Rosemary went on ABC radio via WhatsApp because she couldn't ring up through the Optus network. And that was, do you reckon that was 10:30? I thought it was earlier than that.
No, it was definitely
10:30. So 10:30 a.m. So this has been going on for 6 hours, and all she was saying was, I'm sorry, we're working on the problem, and that was it.
And at 10:30 she said, we don't know what the problem is. They've looked at a lot of things that they don't know. Now, just to go backwards a little bit, that first email I got from Optus was at 6:37. It said 3 things, we're aware of it, we're working on it. At 8:49, I sent them another email, and they replied pretty quickly with a message saying the exact same thing. 4 points. We're aware of it, we're working on it, we'll give you an update, we apologise. In 2 hours, they had no more information. And then you go 2 hours further forward with Kelly Bayer Rosmara and the CEO who chose to go on the ABC first.
So rather than you would have preferred her to go on the Today Show, or if Sunrise would have preferred to have her. So she chose ABC Radio
as her first port of call.
Yeah,
and I know
at 10:30 a.m. Not breakfast TV. Yeah. ABC Radio.
And I know where she went because I followed her around basically. Because then I was on a Perth radio station. They go, we can just tell you that there's quotes now that Kelly's just been on ABC, and they told me about it. Then I'm on hold with Neil Mitchell to go on Neil Mitchell's show at 11:15, and they go, we've got Kelly coming on in 15 minutes. Yeah. What should we ask her? And I'm like, well, here's my questions.
Yeah, what's doing?
And then she appeared on Deb Knight's show later in the day, and she did do 3 TV newses later, and probably the ABC as well. Yeah. But let's go to the crux of their communication issue before we unpack the technical issue. Yeah. The communication problem is this. You wake up in the morning and you have no mobile and your Wi-Fi doesn't work. You're an Optus customer. What do? You turn on the radio. You turn on the TV.
What's happening? Yeah.
Like, you can't ring your friends. So what Optus needed there and then is someone to come on and just say, sorry, we're working on it. Yeah. Now, they will argue they didn't know what they were working on. That's fine.
Tell us that.
You've got to accept. Yeah. I said to my contact at Optus, when he told me that Kelly was on the ABC, I said, get her on Ray Hadley now. Yeah. She's going to get beaten up, but that's what she needs to do.
But I remember Ben Fordham said something, and you agreed that he says, look, if there's a power outage, you can go to Energy Australia's website and it'll tell you what
who's
the
affected.
Problem is. Okay, I know the information. You get information. If you're an Optus customer today, you woke up with nothing and no information.
And I'm happy to be the person that tells you what's going on, right? I'm happy to be the guy that says what's happening. But wouldn't it feel better if you saw the CEO of Optus saying, look, we are gutted that this has happened. We are working feverishly. I will not let anyone rest until we fix it.
Connection again.
And
soon,
Carl, let's say they're on Today Show. Carl's going to go, but what happened? And she's going to say, I'm sorry, Carl, I don't know. And we're working to find that out. Yeah. I'm only getting information, obviously, secondhand after the engineers work on it. Yeah. You've just got to take the battles and the bruises while the public and your customers see that you are working on it.
She had to be the face of this, and rather than you and me speculating of saying, well, we think it's this, and everyone having all the negative comments that are flooding that air instead of her saying something about it.
Because the number one question I kept getting was, is this a cyber attack?
Yes. Now, well, didn't they? There was, and here's another thing too. The Minister for Communication got up at, I think it was about 11 a.m. and she got
earlier.
Up. It was around that time. Was it 11:15 or something?
She was talking. Oh, she got up at around 11, but she was talking.
No, but she was
comments.
on TV. She did a press conference at like 11:15.
She gave comments during Ben Fordham's show about the fact that they didn't think it was a cyber attack.
Right. Okay. So that early.
Yes.
Because that's when is that when she used that it's a deep fault?
No, that came a bit later.
That was in her second press conference about 11.
Later. Yes.
So this is Michelle Rowland, the Federal Communications Minister, who gave a press conference kind of on Optus's behalf almost.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Say, we know it's not a deep. We know it's a deep fault, and I think that
was at about 9:30.
That's code for it's not a cyber attack.
Yes.
Is that how you took that?
Kind of.
So because everyone was speculating, because we remember what happened last time in September 2022 when they were hacked and the data breach happened. Everyone was thinking, well, they've hit him again. This has happened again.
And look, so I got to the point.
It was a natural question to ask, I think.
By about 10:30, getting no information, no other than we're working on it. Mm. When people ask that question, I got to the point of saying, look, given they're saying nothing, I'm starting to get concerned. I'm starting to worry that it is a cyber attack. Yeah. But then when Kelly started talking and she was she was nowhere near talking about it being a cyber attack, I felt comfortable that it wasn't because cyber attacks leave fingerprints. Yes. They would know. Yeah. And I do trust that Optus would tell us if it's a cyber attack. I do trust that.
After the events of last year, the data breach, mate, wouldn't they have like a triple locked gate in their systems that they would have known? They would have known that they would have had to improve that.
You'd think
so. If that had to happen again, mate, that would have been it for Optus. If that had been hacked again, so it's kind of good news that wasn't the case. But that still doesn't solve the problem of 10 million people not being connected, and we're not talking. And this is the day after an interest rate rise where these people are going to work. Someone working from home wants to do their job. A cafe owner wants to earn some money, sell some coffees, get the money, and The day after that interest rate rise, they were unable to do that.
Yeah.
Which the timing of it's terrible, I know, but it just makes the situation worse.
Now, here's a really fascinating thing about this outage. I was on Threads, and because I literally didn't tweet about this because I tried to be very strong and not be drawn back to that platform because of the breaking news of it. But I did use the platform to find, reports and see what I was hearing.
There was a lot of people complaining. I know that.
And so I had people, Brendan Wood said to me, I'm replying to this on my Optus Wi-Fi. I can use Facebook Messenger and Threads, but nothing else.
Right.
Very strange.
So,
I had a bloke in Queensland, in Currumbin, had mobile coverage.
Really?
Very strange.
Okay.
Like there was some weird things about
little pockets that were still working.
Which made me think it wasn't a cut cable or broken power and all that kind of stuff. So again, we are just speculating. And here's the problem. We're still speculating. We still don't know.
Yeah.
It's almost midnight and Optus has not told us what happened.
What it was.
And
I remember, do you remember we were looking back at the Telstra? Remember when Telstra had an outage in 2020, was it? Remember they had a denial of service dedicated, is that what, DDoS? Denial of service. And I remember looking back. Remember we were looking back at my old stories, and I just put in there Telstra outage, and it told us about the outage. It first happened at 10 a.m. By 11:37, Telstra had already got out and said this is what caused it.
Now, I want to be clear. I don't expect that within an hour of an outage they tell us what caused it.
No.
But I do believe wholeheartedly that the network team at Optus knew that it was not a cyber attack broadly, that it was not a power outage or a broken cable, that it was a problem in their routing infrastructure. I'm sure they knew that, right?
Yeah.
So say that. Yeah. Say we're pretty sure we've eliminated these things, et cetera, and then say
we're looking at this.
We're looking at this area, and we
yeah.
feel that because that's going to make people think that you're working and you're looking into it. But right now, we were listening to we had reports from Drive Time this afternoon where we'd heard reports that it could have been a power failure at some place,
power outage,
could have been a network issue somewhere,
yeah.
and it could have been the upgrading of the 3G, 4G towers from Ericsson caused the whole thing to go down. That's three theories, and I've spoken to Optus. They've heard them all, but they're not willing.
They won't tell us which is right.
They're not willing to say anything.
Yeah.
But there's been enough digging. There's been enough digging.
Yeah.
We know it's a routing issue. Well, there's just no doubt in my mind now.
We've heard from more than one person
that's right.
or people on good authority.
Yeah.
But is a reason why they're a bit cagey? Is it like a security issue for them? You reckon? If they say, "Oh, well, this went wrong," does that make them a target for, say, a cyber criminal to hack that part of the network
if
or something?
If they said we had a routing issue on our mainframe router with the IP address of 203.79, then that's stupid, right?
Yes,
but if you just say, look, it's a routing issue, which is the systems that control all our traffic, and it's been overwhelmed.
Yeah. And that's how it needed to be explained. They needed to explain it like we would explain the complicated tech to our listeners. To say, right, it was there's a really big, long technical term for it, but it's basically this, where normally there's this much data passing through the network through this gate, but at this time of when the trouble happened, it was 900,000 times more at that particular point. Yeah, bottleneck. So
that's
how it should have been illustrated.
Yeah,
and at least I used to be an Optus customer, and I can remember. When I had no internet one time, and it had been a bit of a storm happening, and I remember calling the technical support, and all I wanted to know was, are you aware of the problem?
Yes.
And are you fixing it? Yep. Right? And I rang, to my horror, I got in contact with their call centre in India, and the guy said, no, we're not aware of that. And I said, mate, where are you at the moment? He goes, I'm in India. And I said, are you aware of the weather? I said, what's the weather like over there? And he goes, it's very hot. I said, do you know what the weather's like here? He goes, no idea. And there'd been storms, there'd been really bad weather. And I said, so you've got no idea then if that there's been a storm here, so what am I to assume? All I wanted was him to say, yeah, we've identified the problem, we're working on it, thanks for your patience.
Yeah.
Good as gold. That would have done me.
Simple.
But because I didn't know, and he didn't know, it just frustrated me even more. And that's what people were going through today.
All right, let's take a break, talk Arlo, but I want to come back and talk a bit more Optus. I want to talk about customers and what they're doing next and what next for Optus.
Absolutely.
That's my plan.
Everything about tech you never wanted to know. This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
Two Blokes Talking Tech, supported by our good mates at Arlo.
Arlo.
Here they are, Arlo. And they've just released their Essential range. And I recently, as you have, reviewed the video doorbell. Yep. So the new Essential doorbell, which is a great bit of work. Read my review, read Trev's review, and really simple to connect. Gives you 2K video, but also too. Let's talk about the Essential cameras too. The outdoor camera and the indoor camera. Indoor camera is designed for indoors. There's no battery because you can connect it to power, so really easy to set up. Now, people think, ooh, an inside camera, they feel a little bit creeped out. But you know what? The Essential camera has a privacy shield, a big white shield that's really easy to eyeball and say, yeah, that shield is on, it's not recording. But of course, if you're out and it detects movement, it's going to be recording. The Essential outdoor camera is, I think, one of the best entry-level cameras you can buy to start off your journey with your security. And Arlo make it really easy to connect. It's really simple to onboard that, to connect it to your Wi-Fi network, have it up and running within minutes. And the beauty of it is you can build on that with other cameras, a doorbell. So you've got this nice little ecosystem that you can look at that's going to be your eyes and ears for your security, and it can record any movement. If you decide to subscribe to Arlo Secure, you'll get the smart notifications where it'll detect people, packages, vehicles, and animals. So you're also able to set these smart zones as well. So it'll only be looking where you tell it to look for any kind of movement and notification. So look, these are really simple and affordable products that can increase the security of your home, give you that peace of mind and the notifications if you need them. The Essential range from Arlo, check them out, arlo.com.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick.
I've just opened up a...
I've run out of Diet Coke.
Oh, do you want me to get another one?
No, I'm good.
I've just opened up a website because I wanted to show you some stuff. But
Tech Guide,
it's, no, news.com.au.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's this video in the corner here? My God, who's this bloke here? Stephen Fennick.
There you go. Nice.
So I wanted to talk. What I want to talk about is what's happening now with customers, and then kind of what next for OPTUS. Now, there's a story titled "Huge Lines Show OPTUS Customers Fleeing to Telstra and Vodafone." Now, I'd heard stories of this, but there's photos on news.com.au underneath the video of Stephen Fennick talking to Peter Credlin. And there is literally a queue outside a Vodafone store. There is a queue outside Telstra stores. And like, this is fascinating because some of the stories today that were really interesting were, I got a reel sent to me from Dr. Donuts. They do deliveries of donuts, like really premium looking donuts, not your Donut King style, proper, fancy ones.
Are they the ones that we sent to Today Extra?
Yes. Yeah. They sent me a reel today of, they'd made this little video of them having to go and get Aldi and other SIM cards so that their delivery drivers could be contacted and they could, because a lot of systems now are reliant on networks. So when we had those donuts delivered to Today Extra to thank them for having us on about the movies, I got updates. It's left now. It's on its way now. We've delivered now. Yeah. Those updates come because they've got a mobile phone.
Of course.
So a lot of people signed up today just for the need to keep them online today.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses had to do that.
I was hearing there were a lot of builders at different job sites waiting to hear from their foreman and what they need to do. There was a lot of delivery drivers, you name it. Anyone who was, I think we had something, we needed to get our delivery before we went to China. Yeah. And the person who was delivering it is on OPTUS. So he sent an email before he left the office.
Oh, really?
To say, I'm on my way, because he couldn't ring. So that's how he was communicating.
And there was a story also sent to me that there were jobs listed on Airtasker for people to go out and get me SIM cards. The idea is Airtasker, it's like get someone else to do it for you. Yeah. And it's like, I need a new SIM card, here's $50, it's $20 SIM card, that's $30 for you, bring it to me, Yeah. So people were going out of their way to get SIM cards today.
Absolutely, like small businesses, the workers, different, the builders and delivery people. Yeah. There was a cheeky press release from Vodafone to say, by the way, did you know if you need to switch to Vodafone, you could just use you can use the eSIM. If you scan a code and you activate the eSIM and you can be on the network within minutes.
Ruslan Kogan shared an ad for Kogan Mobile, 60% off, immediate switch with eSIM. I'm thinking what that noise was and I realised what it was.
What is it?
It's the counter ticking over. It's annoying. I'm sorry. That was really unrelated to the show. Thanks for your company.
Did you think someone was breaking in, mate?
It was a weird sound.
It was an angry Optus customer.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I get the sense, and this is strange to me because 10 million people had their personal information stolen, leaked, and 10,000 of them literally were published on the internet. But yet, and Optus did have a churn of customers, a loss of customers.
Yes.
But they are customer positive now compared to then because they've had massive
so
marketing
back further
campaigns.
than what they were before.
They pushed hard on the Samsung Galaxy S23. They pushed hard on the
very
Flips.
aggressive.
They pushed hard on the iPhone.
Yeah.
You know, they pushed real hard. You remember Gary McGregor saying to us, like, keep an eye out for Optus's deals.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable.
Quite aggressive. They're going over and above.
Optus had deals at Harvey Norman that were $0 down, like old school style plans. Yes. So they've worked hard to get customers, new customers. They might not be getting them back. So, you know, people were angry at the data breach, but I get a sense that they're more angry now because they couldn't use their service, and I genuinely blame the lack of communication.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I think when the data breach happened, there were people who were upset at Optus, but there was a loss of customers. It wasn't a stampede. No. Today, I felt was a stampede. There were people thinking, "That's it, I'm out," and more people than during the data breach. So there were people now, like you said, queuing up outside Telstra, Vodafone, all these other telcos who have had outages. They've had their own dramas, but this, I think, for Optus, especially on the back of the data breach, and considering that again the lack of information for the customer, it was a bridge too far.
Because I was on ABC Sydney afternoons, and at the very end, I could tell we were winding up, and it was coming up to news. The announcer said something like, "It's I just wish it was easier to switch," and I said, "Whoa, stop right there. It's very easy to switch. You can go to a service station now, get a SIM card now, and have it ready and working in less than half an hour. Or, if you're savvy, you can switch with an eSIM and literally do it over the internet in minutes and not leave your house." Yeah. And remember, I don't think this is breaking news to our audience, but you keep your phone number. You don't have to get a new phone number. You keep your phone number and you move on a different network. Honestly, Optus needs to hear this way. They need to hear from their customers. I had someone who has contacts within Optus say to me today that Kelly Bay Rosmarin was kind of positive and buoyant about the data breach outcomes and effects because only 30 people or so took up the Equifax offer. Yeah. Well, they made that very hard. They didn't just give you Equifax. They didn't give you a code. You had to go through hoops.
You had to jump through.
What a pain. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Now, if that's their measure of whether people are annoyed or not, they've lost the plot.
Yeah.
But if enough people, especially in a short space of time, like if they see a purge today, imagine, I think, the impact on that. Because also, let's remember, the Singtel, which is the owner of Optus, Singtel, I'll write stock price. I'm going to look it up. The Singtel stock price on Google.
They lost a couple of $1 billion off the company?
They went from $2.47 to Singapore dollars 47 down to $2.37 in an instant. It's a big drop, like it's a hockey puck, opposite of a hockey puck drop.
Hockey stick
opposite,
drop. Down.
It's big down, right? And they haven't seen that for a little while. They are very down.
That's what I saw. So I saw a headline that they've wiped $2 billion off the company today.
Now they're still ahead of a price they were at in September.
Yeah.
They went up and they're coming back down again. And, they've had lows like this before. So is it enough? Because this is clear causation. This stock price went down because of this.
Because of that, yeah.
Is that enough for Kelly to lose or retain her job?
Mate, I think, I remember from the data breach, internally, they were all singing her praises. What a great job she'd done.
Yeah.
Internally. Yeah. So I don't know whether that's sort of, your sort of not the nepotism, but the whole, your favourable view of your own company.
Yeah.
They weren't looking at it through the eyes of a customer.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's going to be the same today.
And let's be clear, both the CEO and some senior members of their comms team have talked about how well they handled the data breach.
Yeah.
Now that's pure blindness.
But they did admit. Remember, we were there. Remember when I put the question to her saying, "Look, could you have done it better?" And she said, "Yeah, we could have done it better." And we've learned, that was her key takeaway, that we've learned a lot of things from that. Yet today...
They went to the playbooks that they had before the data breach.
They just circled the wagons and said nothing for hours at a time. Like when was there was nothing before 10:30
Not that
with
I'm aware
her
of.
on the ABC radio.
Yep.
And it started at, let's say, 4:30 to be generous.
Yep.
So what's that? 6 hours, and you're an Optus customer. You've heard zip from the company.
Yep.
That's not good enough.
And look, I think all power to her for showing up on the news services tonight.
Yeah.
Did not appear on Sky News. I'm told she did not accept an appearance there. Oh. She appeared on 7, 9, 10, and I'm assuming the ABC.
Is that why Alba doesn't go on Hadley show either, mate?
I think it's probably something to do with that.
Yeah.
So
Too hard?
There's that. And that's good.
Is that right? So Sky, she said no.
No, didn't go on. And
so they brought me on instead with Peter Credler.
Exactly. It's great that she went on the 6 o'clock news, right? Because people need answers.
Mate, she had to, though.
But people needed answers in the morning when they woke up and their phones weren't working.
Said, breakfast TV, before people left to go out without an Optus service, they should have been heard from the CEO or someone senior at Optus saying, here's the deal, this is what we think it is, and we're working on it. And that would have satisfied people for the few hours. So I was hearing that by 12:30, 12:20, there were services were starting to trickle back online, staggered back, and by mid to late afternoon, it's business as usual. So talking to people on the evening news when they've had no service for 12 hours, that's.
Now, to be clear,
it should be better than that.
We've been working this whole time. I haven't watched the evening news. I don't know what she said at all.
Yeah. Basically, sorry, and they asked her about compensation, and she said no. She sort of danced around that one, but we don't know about that and blah blah blah. So, but it was sorry. We're back up now. Blah blah blah. That was sort of trotted out the PR speak. So
I wanted to try and get a sense of when. So the ABC had a live blog today. I want to be very clear about the timings here. And it was an interesting live blog because you could kind of follow it. And Kelly Bayer Rosmarin is talking to ABC Sydney on WhatsApp. That was 11 hours ago. It is now 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
It was definitely at, let's call it 10:30 is the earliest she was on.
All right.
10:30.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you reckon? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, right? Let me ask you. This happened at 4:30 a.m. Would she have got a wake-up call? Would they have said, "Oh, look, we better wake Kelly up"? Would she have got a call at like 5 a.m. to say, "Hey, just let you know, we got an outage"? Would the CEO?
Yes.
She would have known from the right at the very start.
If she didn't, it's a massive failure of the business in many, many ways. Just to clarify one more time.
Yep.
I was on a call with my contact at Optus at around 10:42.
Yep.
That was when I was told she was doing interviews.
Right.
So I think she was on at around 10:45 with the ABC.
Right. So later than 10:30.
10:30, between 10:30 and 10:45, I believe, is when she appeared. So that is a long time afterwards. So what next for Optus? Because they're going to lose customers. What do you think they're going to offer? Because I think they're going to offer something tomorrow.
Nothing.
Compensation, data, days.
I don't think they're going to offer anything.
I'm confident they will.
An apology.
I'm confident they will. I believe my information is their marketing and product teams are working on a solution. Because what I said was, you don't have to offer it today, offer it tomorrow, and give it tomorrow. You can offer it tomorrow, and it could be a month away. Yeah. So don't let that. Like if it's going to take the engineers a month to work out how to execute it, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Just make it happen.
So you reckon free data or the data weekend or something?
It'll be something like that.
That's what Telstra did.
Yeah. Well, that's at least something.
But what do you do? What do you give a business that could let's just speculate? A business, say you run a cafe, you from early in the morning, that's your sort of peak period.
Yeah.
No, you're not accepting many payments.
Yes.
You can't accept them. We're talking, let's say on a good day, a cafe would make $10,000.
Okay, wow. I should get a cafe.
Let's say $5,000.
Right, yeah.
Right? Make coffee. They make a coffee for 20 cents and sell it for $5.
Let's say take. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's just say 10 grand. Or let's be conservative and say 8 grand. Busy cafe. Normally busy cafe. What happens to that?
So they're
going to pay wages.
Yep.
Electricity.
Here's what I do if I'm that cafe.
Yeah.
And let's assume that cafe only had half the day out because they sent someone to the shops to buy a Boost SIM card. So I'm going to charge Optus for the time that it took to get the Boost SIM card and the cost of the Boost SIM card and the top up of the Boost SIM card. And then I'm going to look at my last 10 weeks of Wednesday revenue and I'm going to compare it to today. And I'm going to claim the average loss.
Documentation, Yes. So, right, here's what we lost because your services that we pay for weren't available to us. I'm
going to claim the average loss.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair way of making the claim.
Mate, that's big money they're going to lose then. You're talking like millions of dollars.
Depends how many businesses were affected, right? But we definitely know there were many.
But how do you also, what about other companies like the railway? How do they compensate? Are they going to get compensation?
So it's a different thing.
Maya, I was with John Stanley talking about Maya couldn't even process a cash payment because their system wouldn't work, wouldn't recognise a barcode.
It was funny because one of the Melbourne stations was just blowing up. It was Thread. It was Neil Mitchell and his news guy blowing up. Well, why doesn't New South Wales and Queensland have outages on their train networks? It's really simple. They don't have a contract with Optus. Yeah. When you're a government organisation and you need SIM cards for 2,000 items, trains and things, you go to tender. And Telstra, Optus and Vodafone, they tender and say, for X number of dollars. So Optus did the best tender. They had the best deal. And Telstra didn't.
And they become an Optus customer.
That's right. Yeah. So they will either get a free month, they'll get a rebate, they'll have a service agreement. Yep. They'll probably have it in their contract, their compensation. But it's the cafe, the small business, and the individual that need the real attention.
Sucks because it's the day after an interest rate rise too. Just screw it in a bit further for us, why don't you?
The railways, the big businesses, they've got corporate business managers. Gladys's team, the business team, they would have been on the phone to their contacts at railways going, sorry about today, look, listen, we're going to look after you, don't worry about it. They're having that conversation. Who's ringing Optus customers to say, we'll look after you?
Yeah, the business customers,
Yeah.
I know.
Bit of work to do.
There was the story? There was a story on one of the evening news had it. There was a family whose elderly mother had passed away, and they couldn't.
It was on Chris O'Keefe.
They couldn't speak. They couldn't talk to the mum. But
the hospital couldn't ring the daughter and say that you should
died.
Probably come or you should call.
So that she missed out on her mother being with the mother as she passed away.
That's terrible.
And how do you
never get that moment back?
Compensate that?
Nope.
And you know what? There's more stories like this going to come out in the next day or so about things that they couldn't be done that now you can't go back and do it again. Yeah, because of what's happened.
Two Blokes Talking Tech. Let us know how you were affected. Get in touch. You can find us at techguide.com.au and EFTM.com.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick.
And we do it all thanks to the great people at Netgear as Stephen takes a swig of Diet Coke. Netgear, good people. And there's so many products that give you great Wi-Fi, including the Nighthawk M6 Pro. Now, this is a portable Wi-Fi network for your devices. Always travel with first-class Wi-Fi. The unlocked Netgear Nighthawk M6 Pro is the perfect travel companion. You can extend your coverage and productivity with a free antenna for a limited time. So that's a great deal at netgear.com. So get in there and actually have a look at this thing online. That's the thing about shopping directly with Netgear is there's deals, there's offers, there's exclusive products. So
great portable solution.
Worth a look. Yeah,
but not with an Optus SIM card in it.
No. What about this? With an antenna. So you can have that mounted on the side of your van or wherever you're going. So
brilliant.
That's a great little addition.
And that's 5G and
millimetre wave 5G. It's got everything you need. Probably best to put it on Telstra or Vodafone, as Stephen says.
At the moment. Yeah.
And Wi-Fi 6E for a large number of devices ready to connect. You can connect 32 concurrent devices. That's wild.
32.
Yep, and it'll give you 186 square metres of coverage. So if you're a tradie, a small business, a market stall, whatever it is, and you need Wi-Fi on the go, the Netgear Nighthawk M6 Pro 5G is the solution for you.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
I have listened to the Beatles now and then 200 times since it came out.
Where's the sting, mate? Where's the production values?
I'm pretty confident they'll get a copyright strike, mate.
Isn't it 30 seconds?
I'm not running the risk on that.
What do they call it? Fair use?
Fair use, mate.
Is that not right, those 30
I don't
seconds?
think Paul McCartney believes in fair use. And unlike Facebook, YouTube actually can detect copyrighted materials. Don't get me started! EFTM podcast to understand why I'm yelling at the camera. So this is a wild story. It's so good. Back in 1995, George Harrison, Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney got together to listen to some cassette tapes that Yoko Ono had given them of John Lennon singing in his apartment playing a piano. A couple of songs they remastered, remixed, and released, Free as a Bird and another one on that Red and Blue albums. There was one song, though, that was just unable to be remastered because it was John Lennon playing a piano. And imagine it, in the 60s.
It was in the late 70s.
Late 70s with a cassette deck sitting on the piano, hit record and then play it. Now, I'm not a musician, but I assume someone like John Lennon is constantly recording and just playing chords. Yeah. He's got a song in his head. He's got some lyrics. He's just singing away and filling the keys, and off it goes. Beautiful song, right? And it's his way of recording it, so when he goes to do it again and write it down or write the music, it's there.
Yep.
So the problem was, there was cool technology out there that could, enhance and extract things, even in 1995 when they got together to do this. But they just couldn't get the piano kind of far enough away from John's voice to be able to include John in this song. So they parked
just his vocal track.
They benched it and they went, you know what, we're going to leave that
too
one.
Hard.
We'll do the others.
When we have the technology one day to do it.
And then Peter Jackson starts work on those archive videos and creates that unbelievable Disney series, 8-part series or something. Get Back.
Yeah.
Like it was...
Haven't seen it yet.
Oh, my God!
I haven't watched it. Yeah.
It's amazing. And I'll tell you why it's amazing. Because it's genuine fly on the wall. The cameras are just there and they don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of the song, but there's one episode, because it's 8 episodes.
They're writing Hey Jude.
Is it Hey Jude? Yes, it's Hey Jude. And I'm telling you, it's the most remarkable thing to witness the Beatles write the song, the lyrics, everything, right? It's brilliant. So Peter Jackson, obviously, through that process, had old film and old reels and old things, and he had to create. This had to be perfect. This had to be Dolby and Disney Plus ready.
Yeah.
So he worked with computer engineers and created machine learning technology that would enhance the sound, make it clear and crisp and whatever. Yep. So in the process of making that Get Back documentary, Paul obviously says to him at some point, mate, have a listen to this. Is there a cassette?
Yeah.
Bloody cassette.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can do for this? And he has, with his team, extracted John Lennon's voice in the most magical way. And I want to be clear. I use the term machine learning because I think in some of the chats I've had this week about it, people have called it AI and they've said something about, is it the real John? Yeah. This is 100% John Lennon singing. It's not AI created John Lennon's sound and they typed the lyrics. It's John Lennon singing.
Actual singing.
They've extracted his voice and cleaned it
Enhanced
up.
It,
and then the rest of the Beatles have played along with it, including George Harrison, who gave this a crack in 1995. So they've been able to use that plus add some more George Harrison sound. And it's made it a beautiful song. It's so Beatles.
Now and then, yeah.
It's of course it is. I think it sounds like a Beatles song.
It absolutely does, yeah. It is a remarkable thing. Imagine all the other things you would have discovered. Imagine he's probably got all these other tapes that are just sitting there and it is.
Well, the other thing is imagine who else this applies to. Yeah, great song. But I remember Prince died and he was like he had his own studio.
Yeah.
Now he's more in the digital era, but imagine the stuff that he would have. Imagine if someone has some Michael Jackson. They probably wouldn't bring it back in this day and age of the woke world, but it's a different.
Why not?
Well, he's not been well regarded lately.
Okay.
But his music should be separate to his other extracurricular activities.
Music's great.
But who else would you, if you could access their demo tapes?
Yeah. Whose
would you bring out?
Oh, you'd have to go back, wouldn't you? You'd have to sort of go back to a band that's no longer together. I don't know. An old Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
Imagine that they might have some stuff in
Little River
stuff
Band,
in the basement. John Farnham.
Yeah, I mean, Wheatley's probably got a box full of cassettes.
Yeah,
but it's just what? It's remarkable to me that it was a cassette tape.
Yeah,
so good. And here's the thing:
cassette tapes, right? Let me tell you about the cassettes. Like the before there was the actual cassette, there was reel to reel.
Yep.
Do you know in the high end audio world,
reel to
reel is making a comeback?
Yeah.
It's really clean audio quality.
Yeah.
So the tape, the cassette, is actually still it's
magnetic like the original digital.
Yeah.
In some way, because you think about the physical analog of a vinyl.
Did you ever do that? Record yourself as a kid?
Oh, mate, absolutely. I kind of wish I had some of those because we used to listen to the radio and you record it. I remember I had a.
You've been recording off the radio, like songs?
Yeah. And because you have to pause it and then start it again for the next song or whatever.
Like recording ourselves, like just piss takes.
Yeah. So I had a tape that had, I think I introduced it or something, and then at the end it had a rocket ship blasting off, the sound of which I created on the Commodore 64.
You nerd.
Yeah.
Such a nerd. I remember doing...
Did you make a mixtape for a girl?
I did. Yeah, have done. Yeah, even for my future wife, I made her for mixtapes when we first met.
What song got her over the line?
I introduced her just to some bands she hadn't listened to before. Like New Order and those sort of bands. But what were we talking about? The tapes with the Commodore 64. Yeah. I remember that I had to do a video project when I was in high school. When I was in year 12, one of my mates had a video camera. Yeah. And only video camera that we knew of. Yeah. And I used the Commodore 64 to
make a title?
To do the credits.
Yes.
Yeah, there's credits for the movie.
Mate, so get this. Yeah. I had a lot of VHS tapes. I had every round of the 19-something Shell Australian touring car championship. I taped them all, right?
How much chicken and corn?
None. I didn't care about that. I was into touring cars, okay? I taped everything.
How old were you?
So this would have been in Griffith, so year 7, 8, 9, 10, that kind of age. Yeah?
And there was no chicken and corn involved at all?
Couldn't care less.
Wow.
Couldn't give a rat's.
Okay.
Maybe a cheeky picture, Mac. But
the picture. The picture. When was the
Stop it!
Readers
Stop
sending their pictures?
This is not the private feed. Anyway, so VHS tape. So imagine I've recorded the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship and the Channel 7 intro. Mike Raymond comes on.
Yeah, I know the one.
But then what I would do is on the Commodore 64, I'd make a title graphic. Shell Australian Touring Car Championship in this 3D text and everything, and I'd record that onto the start of the video.
Mate, you were a YouTuber 40 years ago.
That's spot on,
mate. It's like I was a podcaster 40 years ago, making tapes and stuff up. Isn't that funny?
I don't know how we got onto this rubbish.
I'd love.
Oh my
cassette
God!
Tapes. Do you still have any tapes?
Yes.
What?
I just had a realisation.
And you'll be hearing them. Oh, this is Travel Along here. We're talking about.
Okay, so I have cassette tapes in this building.
What?
In this building, of me at the Kingdome in 1995 or 6. The Sydney Kings playing, and I'm on the sideline, literally on the sideline with a landline telephone. And like Greg Rust would be hosting sport, and he'd be like, "And now to the Kingdome, Trevor Long. Yes, Greg, the Sydney Kings 36, and the Adelaide 36ers." And I'm like, I'm talking about basketball. Didn't know what was going on.
What were you, Ken Callender?
I had a very different voice.
It sounded like this. You were talking like
Phil Vithelli.
Hey, mate, I worked with Kenny Callender at the Telegraph when I was sports editor. Great bloke.
Everybody Hawk with an F in his name.
Mate, can I just...
What do you reckon? She's a bit of a setup?
I know this isn't like the privates feed, right? But Kenny Callender, champion bloke.
Yeah.
I worked with his son, Dave Callender, as well. Now, confession time, okay? Confession time. Dave Callender helped me cheat on my shorthand test.
Wow.
He helped me cheat on my 120 words a minute shorthand test.
Stephen, you are stripped of your history as a journalist.
I'll tell you what happened, because you had to pass 120 words a minute, and I was still playing for South. I'd had a broken hand. I was suffering, right? Yeah. And so what I got Dave Callender to do, the teacher was dictating the test, and he had a little shifty tape recorder in his pocket, and recorded her, and they allowed you at the time, they said, you take it home and transcribe it. I went, sweet. So I got the tape and transcribed it. He helped me
All right, confession time.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. You know what? Let me just say, I don't know if she's still alive, but Mrs. Swanton, who was my shorthand teacher, very sorry. If you're still alive, I'm very sorry, but I passed.
Well, to the New South Wales...
with some help.
Public Service Agency, which I won't name, for which one of my friends was applying for a pretty important job. Well, I forged his typing test.
Forgery?
Words per minute.
Wow.
He showed me his
So which one? A typing test?
Like how he had to do like 40 words a minute, and he came up with like 32. Showed me, and I went, "Mate, I can type that. I can just reprint that on the Epson on the Fujitsu printer. Dot matrix, and just gave him.
Looks like it was typed.
100%.
Wow.
Mate, when
you forged his signature?
No, I just had a new printout. I just gave him the printout.
Right. Is that the police I hear?
When I worked at Deloitte Touche Tomatsu in the city, one of my first jobs, we had the grousest printer, photocopiers, because we were the mail room, right? Yeah. And we did all the printing and binding and all that stuff. And I made, what am I saying? I made concession cards, train concession cards, because they were just pieces of cardboard. So I just got the
master forger. Trevor Long, the
same
master
coloured
forger.
cardboard, right?
Wow.
And I had a mate of mine. I photocopied it
Yes.
and then reprinted it on the cardboard, and we just used concession cards.
Are you printing out $50 bills? And
Nah,
what
mate,
are we
just
doing?
concession cards.
Wow. Geez, the confessions of the two blokes talking tech. Here we go.
This has been
Do
lethargic.
you feel like a weight's been lifted off you, mate?
Great
You
about
feel
it.
good about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a secret Dave Callender and I said, mate, we'll take this to the grave, mate. We won't tell anyone.
Well,
but I think enough time. The what is it? The statute of limitation.
Dave's
has,
really filthy that you've skipped the grave.
It's his mate. You know, his brother was the guy who worked at Channel 9 who died of brain cancer. Remember?
True.
Is it Matty? Not Matty. It was is it Matthew?
No, not Richard.
Yeah, one of the calendars.
Yeah.
His son, who was one of the producers of the Footy Show.
That's right.
He
yeah.
died of brain
It
cancer.
was Matty, I think.
That's his younger. That was his younger brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
speaking
shout out to
of-
Dave Callender if he's still about.
Speaking of my impersonation of Kenny Callender from The 12th Man, one thing I've never discussed with John Tapp, who I get on with pretty well, is what he thought of the John Tapp exploding in The 12th Man.
When he's
Ken, I
commentating.
forgot to take a breath. What's happened? He's what? He's exploded. Well, it looks like Johnny Tapp has exploded out there at Rose Hill.
How do we get here? How do we get here?
But so I've got tapes of me at the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Are
we going to hear these?
Also,
we're going to hear these next
mate,
week.
I've got tapes of me singing, so that's not happening. And I've got tapes. I've got tapes of me and Bowen walking the streets of Sydney during some riots. I can't remember what the riots were about, to be honest.
Wow.
But we were out and about. I was reporting into Philip Clark's show from like Cathedral Street and trying to,
So you
live
got a lot
updates.
of tapes.
We ran through Darling Harbour. It was wild.
Wow.
But I could audio enhance them now and just make it sound clearer.
Wow. So sort of get Peter Jackson on the case, mate, for you?
No, Adobe has a great tool online.
Yep.
So the example I give you, I was sitting here just before I went on that trip overseas to the 3-weeker. I had to get this
IFA,
bloody video review done, and like it had to be done. And it was the night before I was leaving. And I'm like, I have left it long. So I sat exactly where you are, did the video, got home, ready to go edit. Microphone wasn't turned on.
Oh, no.
My microphone was turned on. So I had two cameras going, and the other one didn't have a microphone plugged in. And so it was like, it sounded like this. The whole audio sounded like this. I was filthy. And then I found this tool. I uploaded it. You listen to that video. It's the Cricket Joy, whatever the new one is, on the EFTM YouTube channel. It sounds like a studio.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
Wow, that's enhanced it.
Unbelievable.
We could have done that night with the private feed. Remember where? Hello.
Maybe.
Although there was the faders, but the cameras could have had the audio.
I don't know how to work with two people. Anyway, it's wild.
Okay.
Anyway, if you haven't listened to it, the Beatles, Now and Then, now streaming.
That's it.
I've purchased the re-released blue and red vinyl set.
Oh.
The double out double. It was a double CD set in doubles, like 4 CDs. The blue
Was that
and
the
the
one
red.
that like 1961 to sit? And
Yes.
then, where they're looking off the balcony.
They've re-released that with Now and Then right next to Free as a Bird. That's what I bought it on. Yeah,
Vinyl, beautiful.
yeah. I think it ships at the end
I've
of
got
this
all the
week. It's
Beatles
going to
on vinyl.
arrive while we're in China. Damn it!
No, I've got all the Beatles collection on vinyl. Awesome.
All right, Two Blokes Talking Tech.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
Sorry, that's your pen, Trev. Did you mean that to end up over here?
No, I'm not directly.
Okay, well, if people have had their eyes trained closely on us during the video podcast, you'll notice that Trevor
Head to
and
YouTube,
I,
search Two Blokes Talking Tech, you'll find us.
we've had our laptops out. And
What a big laptop you have.
Straighten up the laptop a touch, mate. Okay, now Trevor and I
I should have brought a silver one to
both.
compare.
I've got the. I was going to think I've got my Magic Air now. I didn't bring my MacBook Air. Trevor and I are sporting the brand new.
This is the latest we've ever recorded, by the way. We are
Pro. Yeah,
dribbling.
what is it? 1:00 in the morning or something? It is now. This is the new Space Black MacBook Pro 16-inch. That we both received from Apple. This isn't our review. This is just showing off.
This is all I'm going to talk about.
Is all,
it's good, it's fast, it's darker colour.
This is the Space Black. So they've had silver, they've had grey, haven't they? Space grey, Starlight. Is Starlight
not in a
one
Pro?
as well? Starlight's on the MacBook Air.
Yeah,
that's what
they've got
I've
the
got
Midnight
the
on the MacBook Air. But on a Pro,
So
you've never been
Midnight,
able to get anything but silver and grey.
And what Apple says about this one is that they've used certain anodized aluminium and a coating to resist fingerprints. Have you got any? Oops,
there's fingerprints.
Can you see any fingerprints on mine?
Yep.
On the Apple logo.
On the right angle, I can see them.
But
it's good, but it's not
bad. It's not. Look at that
better.
one.
Look,
Look
it's
at
better
that.
than the Midnight.
So that's Midnight.
Yeah.
Is that a Pro or MacBook Air?
No,
That's
just
the Air.
That's just an Air.
So just compare that, right? Here, put it up here.
Oh, this is going real well.
So there's the.
Yeah, look at that. You can see
look at the fingerprints on yours, right?
Yep.
Hang on, where are we?
Just do it, tilt it around so it goes in the light. Yeah, you're right. There's less fingerprints.
Less fingerprints.
It's official.
But in the light, this looks grey, doesn't it? Not black. I think you really need to see this in the flesh to appreciate that it's actually black, not the grey or silver colour.
Yeah.
But that was your sneak peek at the MacBook Pro Space Black Edition, which I think is going to be very popular for the... Can you get it in the 14-inch too? Or is it a 16 only Space Black?
No.
14-inch. I think it's 14 and 16, but it's the M3 Max and Max.
You've got to get the Max
Pro,
processor
Max
to
3,
get the colour.
Yeah, Max Pro, Max 3 Pro and Max 3, M3 Max and M3 Pro.
Wow, that was confusing. Look, apologies. It's very late at night. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. It's been a long day. And
imagine when we've got to record the electric car podcast too, we'd still be here. You're going to have to spend 24 hours a day here.
This is dropped early for you, so if it's Thursday morning, congratulations. The video version will drop when it publishes and when it's done. And the private, if it recorded and everything, I'll put it up at the same time as per last time, so you can find the link to the private feed inside the YouTube description of the main show.
Yes.
That was a difficult task for a lot of people to understand.
Yeah.
But a lot of people found it.
If you want to listen to private, you need to be in the Two Blokes feed on Friday evening.
That's right. On the podcast, if you're listening on audio, Friday night it drops. But if you want the video version early, it'll be on YouTube, and just find the Two Blokes Talking Tech episode 608.
And so from early December, you're going to have a podcast a day except for Sunday. Even God rested on a Sunday.
Should we have a religious show? Sport or religion, that's what Sundays are for.
Okay, really? Okay.
Because, mate, you know, before the
sleep.
9 early news at 5 o'clock in the morning, they do have that.
Yeah, hour of power.
It's pretty full on.
Yeah.
I've watched a bit of it. It's pretty full on.
Right. So you're not a Bible basher, are you, mate?
No. No. But I have no issues with people that have chosen the Lord.
Me neither.
It's just not for me.
Yeah, me neither. Halo. Bing. No Halo.
Trident.
The horns. You get the horns.
Sorry, horns.
Yeah, you get the horns.
We should probably wrap up.
I think so, mate. I think so. Before we say something we regret.
I think we already have.
Oh, well.
I forged
We
stuff.
hope it was entertaining.
You cheated.
Yeah, I sort of fudged. I fudged. I don't like the word cheat.
You cheated.
Cheat's too hard a word, mate. I fudged
Stephen
it.
is a cheater.
I fudged it.
Stephen is a cheater.
I fudged my shorthand
What
test.
have I become?
Yeah. And I often, still in contact with a lot of my cadet colleagues who were cadets around the same time as me, and we all had difficulty passing the test sometimes. Some were really good at it.
Can you still do shorthand?
No.
Oh, really?
Wouldn't have a clue.
I can.
Yeah.
Just talk, just say something.
Yeah, good. Is that? And what does that say?
It says yeah, good.
Yeah, of course it does.
Wait, are you
what
questioning me?
What sort of shorthand did you do?
Scribbly.
Yeah, scribble. Because there's Pitman, T-line. What did Pitman shorthand?
I'm more of a Pitman, but I like to vary. So
yeah, Pitman was more harder to learn, but easier to write quickly. I did use it. I'm
nailing this. What are you talking about?
A lot of my cadetship, I was part of my cadetship. I did court reporting.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't let you back then record in the courtroom. So you had to take notes. You had to get your shorthand out.
I'll just expose another. Well, this is a very recent thing I did. But when I was in that federal court for the Boost Mobile thing, I totally recorded that because I could never have made notes quick enough.
Here he is, officer. Here he is. There he is, Trevor, get him.
How am I going to write that down so quickly?
I don't know.
Seriously?
I think back then,
doing it.
back when I was doing shorthand in my court reporting, this was like in the late 80s.
Yep.
So there was
typewriters.
There were no mobile phones.
There weren't computers.
We had computers.
Weren't you on a steam press?
We had computers, you idiot.
You got the steam train to work. You told me that.
No, we had computers, but didn't have phones. No
the computers were the size of a room, though.
They were solid. Yeah, big computer. It was the our system, but
what a wild day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's great to have your company. Thanks to Arlo and Netgear. We'll be back again
Tech Guide,
next week somehow, which we still haven't worked out. Can't wait.
Next week.
See ya.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.